You hear the name Robert Greene, and what comes to mind? Power, strategy, a deep, almost unnerving understanding of how people tick. In this explainer, we're going to dive into some of his most profound ideas, from the real art of seduction to the ultimate journey of mastering yourself. Let's get right into it.
So, Greene kicks things off with this really fascinating idea. Life is basically a stage, and all of us, we're playing a role. The secret, he says, isn't to stop acting, but to actually understand the game you're in. This one idea is the bedrock for everything else we're about to explore. All right, so let's jump into his most famous topic, power. But to really get what Greene is talking about, we have to throw out the common definition we all have in our heads. Okay, so this is where Greene just flips the whole idea of power on its head. For him, power isn't about being a president or CEO. He says it's an emotion. It's the feeling that you are not helpless, that you have some degree of control over your own life. It's something you feel on the inside, not a position you hold on the outside. And, this difference is absolutely crucial. We get so caught up in this idea of power as controlling other people. But Greene's point is, look, if you can't even control yourself, your own impulses, what you say, how you appear to others, do you really have any power at all? The goal isn't to become the boss. It's to simply stop feeling helpless in the world. So here's the bottom line. That feeling of being completely helpless, Greene argues it's one of the most toxic, most miserable experiences a human can have. It makes people passive-aggressive and turns them into players of all sorts of negative games. Real power begins when you overcome that feeling inside yourself. Okay, so let's see how this idea of internal control kind of builds into our next big topic, seduction. And, it's probably not what you're thinking. See, for Greene, seduction is like the ultimate form of power because it's not about force at all. It's all about making someone feel, seen, interesting, validated. When you can do that for someone, their defenses just melt away, and you can influence them without them even knowing what's happening. It's pure psychology. So what's the secret sauce? It's pretty simple, actually. Seductive people are completely focused outward. They're not stuck in their own heads worrying, am I cool enough? Do they like me? No, they're totally absorbed in the other person. The anti-seducer, well, they're the opposite, completely self-absorbed, just talking and preaching instead of listening. And this right here, this difference between being vulnerable and being insecure, it's a total game changer. Vulnerability is magnetic. It draws people in. Think about a puppy, right? It's so open and vulnerable, and it just makes you want to take care of it. It's like a little wound that makes you want to connect. Insecurity, on the other hand, is just self-absorbed worry. It just makes everybody uncomfortable and pushes them away. Greene has this perfect little story that just nails this point. A woman goes on a date, and the guy pulls out a discount code. Now, why was that so bad? It wasn't about the money. Come on. It signaled a cheapness of spirit. It showed a total lack of effort. Your actions are a language, and that tiny gesture screamed, I'm not generous.
In all of this, power, seduction, it all rests on one thing. And if you don't have it, forget it. We're talking about real, authentic confidence. And let me tell you, this is the hard truth. You absolutely cannot fake confidence. Greene is so clear about this. People can smell it a mile off. All that bravado and puffing out your chest, it just reads as deep insecurity. Real confidence isn't in what you say. It radiates from your body. So how do you get the real thing? Well, first, you stop trying to fake it. Instead, you go out and acquire a real skill. Genuine confidence is just a natural byproduct of being competent. It comes from actually doing things, from having a history of accomplishments. It's built on what you can do, not what you can say. And believe me, your body never lies. It's always telling the truth. That fake smile, it's tight, it's contained. A real one, it lights up your whole face. Your tone of voice is almost impossible to fake. Powerful, confident people lean back. Nervous people lean forward. Even which way your feet are pointing can show if you're secretly dying to escape the conversation. We all read these signals, whether we realize it or not. Okay, so if real confidence comes from having a skill, that leads us to the ultimate journey, the big one, mastery. The reason Greene even wrote Mastery is because he was genuinely worried about us. He was worried that in this culture of instant everything, we're forgetting how to actually build things that last. We're getting disconnected from the way our brains were literally designed to learn, through time, through repetition, and through a whole lot of patience. Now, this path is long, no doubt about it, but the steps are actually pretty clear. First, you're an apprentice, just a sponge, soaking it all up. Then comes the practice phase, just endless repetition that is literally building new connections in your brain. And finally, after all that effort, you hit mastery. It's the state of creative flow where you don't even have to think anymore. You just know.
Now, you've probably heard this number before, right? 10,000. And look, it's not some magic number. What it represents is the sheer volume of work it takes. There are no shortcuts, period. We're talking about literally rewiring your brain. Those hours, and yeah, a lot of them are going to be tedious and boring, they're spent carving these deep grooves in your brain, making complex skills feel second nature. That's what frees up your mind for real creativity.
And that's why Greene, he's not a big fan of the word passion. Passion comes and goes. What you really need is this deep, almost primal connection to whatever it is you're doing. A connection so strong that it gives you the patience to get through all the boring parts. Because you just know, deep down, this is what you were put here to do.
All right, this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. And honestly, it might be the most powerful idea from Greene we've talked about yet. It's about looking at the part of yourself you've probably been taught to hide your whole life. I want you to really think about this for a second. That envy you feel sometimes, aggression, maybe a little narcissism, anger, do you have that shadow side? Well, according to Robert Greene, the answer is a resounding yes. We all do. And here's the twist. Trying to pretend it's not there, that's a huge mistake. In fact, that dark side is a massive, untapped source of your energy and creativity. So the key isn't to run away from your shadow. The key is to integrate it, to make it part of you. Acknowledge those narcissistic bits so you can actually control them. That anger you feel, channel it into a cause you actually believe in. Use the pain from your past to fuel your best, most creative work. Your dark side has incredible energy. The whole game is learning how to aim it at something positive. So when you look at it all, power, seduction, confidence, it all points back to the same place, doesn't it? They're all the results of this deep, internal journey. And learning to use that shadow self, well, that's the final boss of self-mastery. So the real question isn't about Greene, it's about you. What could you achieve if you stopped fighting yourself and truly, finally mastered yourself?